takes me a long time to figure out what's worth saying, and I'm slow in that way. I haven't written that much, but when I do write, I feel like I'm right on the mark. So, and the other thing is, I've also in my career, my craft was editing, and I'm a good editor. And so I have worked with a lot of other people who were professional writers and have helped them make their writing better. And I know that I did because they've told me so, sometimes with great surprise. So, you know, to some extent, my writing juice has gone into other people's writing, and that doesn't bother me. But I do envy people who have so many ideas that are so close to the surface and so easily articulated that they're able to produce a novel a year if that's what they want to do. That's not the way I work. And a lot of times, writing that I've done has come as an assignment from someone else because my career was in journalism. This came as an assignment from me because of the emotional content. I had this weird moment where I was trying to come to terms, although I didn't realize it, because my family never articulated any emotions, so it was all subterranean. And I had this moment where what I think I was trying to do was struggle with the discomfort and the guilt of the idea of letting go of the family furniture. And I'm lying in the bed that belonged to my grandparents and looking out the window at this frieze of light green oak leaves and thinking, what is this all about? And it was almost as if my grandmother came through the room. And she said, write about it. And she'd been dead since I was 7. So she said, write about it. And I sat up in bed and I grabbed my spiral-bound, battered current journal and a pen and just began to write. And that writing is a chapter in the book that's fairly early in the book. It's called The Canton Plates, and it's about my grandmother. I just sat down and it just came to me who they were and what their lives had meant and what it was like to be traveling, you know, transported at the will of Uncle Sam every year or so and never have any stability in your life except the military. It just came to me, very complete, and I embraced it. And then I went hunting for more, and eventually the book was the result. I started with the idea of the furniture, and that was the theme, because this was about getting rid of the furniture. So everything was going to revolve around that. And at first I had the idea of attaching one person to one object or a set of objects. And that turned out to be kind of a one-trick pony. There is some of that in the book, and that is what I did with my grandmother. That was the first one. But then I discovered that just sort of became ho-hum after a while, like, well, why do we care? And then I had to look for a narrative strand. And so I decided to take the auction as the narrative spine of the book. And it's a fairly thin spine, but it works. And then all this stuff, then de facto, everything had to relate to the auction in some way. So it had to relate to the narrative thread. What I see in teaching is that kids succeed in learning to write, no matter what age they are to some extent, or what the subject matter is, if they capture their own voice. And the more you're in your own voice, the more legitimate the writing is going to be. You encourage them to write from their own experience, and they begin to see that they actually make fewer grammatical mistakes, for one thing, if they are writing from their core. They recognize that authenticity. The most dedicated frat boys who were, had never thought they could write, wrote wonderful things about their living situation or a party where they got busted by the police or whatever it was, but they got it. When you tell your story, do not think your story is not worthwhile, either because that's what you think or because that's what your son or granddaughter has led you to believe, because you are offering a different refraction, a different perspective, a different side of the prism for humanity to look through. So everybody's stories, and they may not all get recorded or handed on, but put them out there because somehow it'll get out there, it'll get picked up. There's a poem in German called The Falcon that says something like, I tamed me a falcon for more than a year, and when I had him just how I wanted him, he flew away. And then since then I've seen the falcon and he's wearing somebody else's ribbon. So it's actually a love poem. And then it says at the end, God send those together who truly love each other. It's a fabulous poem, very short. It's anonymous, and yet it's in all the German textbooks. And I studied German, so that's how I know. And so that says to me that whether I am remembered doesn't matter, but whether the story gets told, that matters.